can't even start.
I'm here to brighten your day.
ThinkingRealEstate.com is on the air. Laura Dwyer Selecting. As we mentioned through the week, Patrick Birch,
It's here?
now city manager.
No, now he's interim city manager.
Hey,
I
city
love
manager, interim.
I love how Carl put that, though, because acting is like you're pretending. I just thought that was really great. I thought that was a classic line.
Well, acting and interim.
They're the same, but
Can be.
acting sounds like you're pretending is roughly how he said it, which I thought was really good.
Okay.
Pat, your opinion? Do you like acting or interim better?
I like whatever council likes.
Boy,
Whoa.
there's a politically correct response.
Oh, before we
Why
start,
don't you just make him the city manager? Then we can rid that, you know. get
don't
rid
have
of-
to worry about those interim those
Yeah.
extra little words in front of it. I'm sure that will come on our agenda at some point.
It's not on the agenda now
I
to
don't,
have a permanent city manager?
well, we will have one sooner or later. Whether
Well-
Pat's the right person, I don't know. He's got to prove himself, I would think.
Okay. Wow. You're lucky
People
you
will
got
have to
him.
go to the
I guess
video
you're lucky
to see
you
his
got him
reaction.
here today.
But I got to give a shout out to Ted Wilson because Jackie met him at your Good Morning Greater Jackson. Not yours, but you're there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And he said he listens to the show, so shout out to Ted, which is one of my favorite names because I have a son named Ted.
Ted Wilson?
No, well,
Just
Think
a
of-
name.
It's like an acting city manager.
right, exactly. So the phone number, if you want to call with questions,
Sure.
although I'm not sure we'll have time for questions, 787-3397.
Always time for requests.
787-3397.
Yeah.
And we're videoing it, so if you have to leave listening early, then you can always go to the website, thinkingrealestate.com, and watch it.
Hi, do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hey, is it worth, with the market being low to sell a house, is it worth putting investments into it, like finishing a basement, kitchen, bathroom?
Are you doing it to resell it or to live in it?
Well, 50-50, you know, that's the question, you know, is it worth doing it and putting $10,000 into it and then selling it or trying to sell it? You know, if the market's there, then I'm going to give that money back.
It really depends on the house and where it is and the current condition. If it makes it more desirable to the competitors, then it may be worth it.
Alrighty.
I know that's not a good question or a good answer, but you can call me and I can come look at your house and give you an answer to it better.
Do you do appraisals too?
I don't do appraisals that you can go take it to the bank, but I can do a market analysis to tell you what it would be worth for you, and I'd be happy to do that, just so you can make a decision.
Okay.
Okay, so give me a call.
Don't you need comparables?
Yeah,
Really?
and you really got to know where it is, and and some houses you have to do that too to make them more habitable, which is kind of similar to the houses that are on auction today. You know, there's the treasure auction starting today at noon, and the city's got. Well, the city doesn't have it, but there's how many houses in the city up for auction? Do you know, Pat?
Well, there's more than we're looking to purchase, but there are a number of homes inside the city that are on that auction list. But staff has gone through and picked out 152 properties, both lots and homes that we would consider purchasing, so that we can try to strengthen the relationship between the county treasurer, the county, and the city, and simply take down the houses that we've already condemned.
And those are houses that are condemned, right? That you guys are looking at?
90% of them are, yes, and the other ones are ones that have come on the market or we haven't had a chance to inspect, but then we, on second glance, are in pretty poor condition.
So if you're going to the auction today and you plan on picking up a house, better make sure whether it's in the city of Jackson or any municipality that there aren't any liens that are owed to the municipality or condemnations on that property.
Are you taking calls?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Ted Wilson.
Hi, Ted.
I do listen, and I listen for the
Well, thanks
you.
for listening.
Thank you. Good morning. Do you have a question? Oh,
Well, you lost him.
I guess not.
So, well, the city is doing, you're amending a lot of your ordinances right now, correct?
We are.
Or you're strengthening them?
Well,
or-
you are. I'm not.
Well, staff is making recommendations.
That's correct.
And what's the purpose of that?
Are we talking zoning ordinances?
Well,
or-
let's talk about the dollar store on Cooper Street, for example.
Well, I'll first by stating that, and council is going through this visioning process right now, but that kind of started through the budget process when Councilman Frongfelker had 5 points that he thought were paradigms in which council probably needs to consider. I think council passed those paradigms and are going through the process now. But I think at some point, every decision that's being made needs to be measured against some overall vision. And I think when you see the ordinances that are passing, I think they're able to trace them directly back to something that's related to those 5 points. So in this case, the Dollar General is as a result of the new building design standards ordinance, which is really part of the zoning ordinance, and it talks about, it moves us from a Euclidean type of zoning to more form-based, which really talks about sense of form and place over the use inside of a building. The whole idea is not to have in that neighborhood where you're surrounded on two sides by residential property, have something that was very stark and commercial looking, to have something that had pitched roofs, had brick, siding, appropriate landscaping, a significant amount of appropriate landscaping, so that it meshed in the neighborhood and didn't detract from the residential character, and that's really what we're moving toward.
Well, I've heard a lot of people, and I've even read it, that one more dollar store in our community, that Jackson's going to be full of dollar stores. But if it's
Why not?
Well, if it fits within the zoning, there's nothing we can do about it. Isn't that correct?
That's true, and if you really believe in the market, and then the market will prevail, that eventually there will be dollar stores that drop off because the competition. And I suspect that when I see a dollar store that looks far better and more inviting than other ones, and the ones that are the worst may drop off eventually, and I think that's really kind of the purpose of the market.
But it has to be better than you had a restaurant that was dead in the water.
It was vacant building. That's correct.
Now
And
you're
the building
getting jobs?
and the building butted right up to the sidewalk, didn't it?
It did.
Just about, yeah.
So no setbacks. So this should be quite an improvement. Now, when I drive past there now, I see a metal structure, but that's not going to be metal when all is said and done.
No, I was just out there with Chief Building Official and the Building Inspector Brian and the Chief Building Official Frank Donovan just now, and Troy White from our engineering department. We were reviewing the building. That building, even though people see that it looks like a metal building, that is a skin that will be covered. There is a 4-foot brick wainscot which goes up the building, and then vinyl siding, so it looks more residential in character. And what you don't see is that there's 6-inch concrete parking lots with curb and gutter, and also street trees and some of the things that make those buildings inviting. So what you don't see now, and they hope to be open by October 20th, so it's a very fast track.
Taking calls?
Sure.
Good morning.
Yeah, besides Greg O'Connor's house, is there any other haunted houses in town?
Good morning.
Yeah, is there a question for Pat Birch?
Yeah, sure.
I was just downtown on Michigan Ave by the old Consumers Building that's going to be demolished, and I saw the mural was lit up in Pump State.
Good question. So the mural, they're talking.
I'm wondering if they're going to try and salvage that.
Actually, we are. Council is very interested in this. This is something that was pretty important to Mayor Griffin and also to Councilman Jakewish. She brought it up after the meeting last time, and spoken with a couple of citizens about it. I've met with Jim Dunn, who is a retired employee of CMS and is also the township supervisor in Summit, and also the hospital, and there's a great interest in saving it. We have a price to be able to take it apart and crate it, and we're going to be moving to store that unit until such time we can find an end use for it. The reason that it's lit up is Councilman Frongfelker thought at some point we have the contractor turn that really a piece of art on.
Art and history.
Art and history, turn it on and open the blind so that people could see what we were, that it's there, kind of get excitement brewing about it, so we can get the political might to be able to save that artwork.
I
Now,
think
where
I
is
saw.
that? Is that inside the building?
Yeah,
Just inside the foyer of the building.
All right.
you got to get out of Summit Township every now and
Does
then.
that answer your
correct?
question? I apologize if it didn't.
He's gone. But yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
I saw on Facebook there was some posting and someone mentioned it would be good at the side of the Blake building. That would be cool, but it's not an outdoor. I assume it's not made for outdoor
No.
without cover.
No, it has to be covered. It'd have to either have a separate structure built for it. That thing's got, the building would have to be 40 by 12 foot tall by 8 foot deep. And there's a significant amount of new LED lighting would have to be done there.
It's quite costly, isn't it?
It's quite costly, and it's going to be about $20,000 to remove the structure. That does not include the lighting, and quite frankly, we're trying to figure out a way to save the structure. We're even going to the point where the hospital and Jim Dunn have asked us to, because we don't know the circuitry, we don't know, there's a sequence of how the lighting go on, the history of energy. So what we're trying to do is take a videotape of the whole sequence, a couple of different videotapes. My staff will be doing that to make sure that when we're able to start rebuilding the circuitry on it, that we know exactly which lights went on first and for how long they were timed.
You're talking about saving the old Consumers building.
The
no,
mural.
The mural.
The mural within
Okay.
it.
lit.
Yeah, there's a crane sitting behind the old Consumers building being put together right now, so I assume that's not meaning to save it.
Okay. So what are we going to do? Is there any ideas on what to do with the mural?
There's a number of ideas. I don't feel at liberty to disclose some of the ideas that people have come up to me that sit on public boards, because I'm sure they haven't checked with their boards. And
And why
But
doesn't
it
consumer
over $100,000 to do something with it?
why doesn't consumers want it?
Consumers is involved in this.
Are they? Okay.
Yes. I've spoken with Al Hooper. He has a great interest in seeing this saved. I'm not sure it will be part of the Consumers Complex at all, but I know that there are people there that are interested in saving this piece of art.
Okay.
I wonder why they didn't move it down there when they built the Consumers building.
I
Just
don't know.
something
I
to
wasn't
wonder
here.
about.
Cost? I don't know.
Cost.
I don't know.
Well, back to some of these ordinance. I see we've passed some that did landscaping, things like that, fencing. What do you expect that will, how do you think that will affect our community and its value?
Well, the last fencing ordinance, it was a very small ordinance that was passed by council in the second reading last Tuesday, was basically at a driveway. We wanted to make sure landscaping was far enough back from when somebody backs out onto a sidewalk where you've got a hedgerow, that there wasn't a child, that there was a sight distance triangle so the child couldn't be run over accidentally by somebody backing out of the driveway. That was a safety issue. But the enhanced landscaping requirements, if you look at communities, and there's study after study after study around the nation and the world that shows that landscape sites, more wooded sites, tend to hold their value better. And I think there's not many real estate agents that would probably argue with that. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that these sites aren't stark, that they're not paving asphalt from pin to pin, meaning the property to property. And you'll see that in a lot of places. A lot of stores are built with absolute asphalt or absolute concrete. And what's happening with that is that you end up with no greenery, no vertical element to soften structures. And I think Jackson deserves it. I think the people of Jackson deserve to have structures that are inviting. I think they have businesses that way. And I think for the most part you'll notice that a lot of the businesses have complied. You look at the TLC building out there, they've been excellent. They volunteered those issues. That was before our whole ordinance was completely in place. And the docs at TLC and Sue, who runs as a manager there, they saw the necessity in fixing that building up, and it's really quite beautiful. And I hope people enjoy that at their ribbon cutting coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up.
October.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
You'll be there, right?
It's an absolutely beautiful structure, and they did a wonderful job with it.
Probably.
Right, and I think you worked with McDonald's maybe on
Steve added a lot of landscaping when I first got here to a site plan that was already done and
that's
approved.
the one on
And he did
Michigan
it on his
Avenue?
own. He volunteered to do it. And you got to give Steve a lot of credit. He did
Have you
an
been in
excellent
that
job.
McDonald's
I
inside
have.
with the mahogany woodwork?
Yeah, he does an excellent job.
It's
he's
pretty awesome.
What a great businessman. He does a great job.
And the Shell station on the corner of West and Wildwood,
Yes.
did they add greenery when
They did, and
their new tanks?
they
They
actually
did?
they reduced the amount of parking The city worked with them, and I got to tell you, Kurt Mercer's company was fantastic to work with. I worked with him when he was when we did work in Dundee. He's always been a quality contractor, and they pulled through here too.
Now we just need to get rid of that FedEx box downtown sitting in the middle of the sidewalk.
I know nothing about FedEx.
So what else do you want to talk about? Greg, any
How's it
questions?
going?
It's going well. It's busy.
You getting along with the council?
I suspect.
Okay, well,
Being a city manager.
I won't tell you what we say.
I've been a city
behind
manager
his
for a
back.
long. I've been a city manager for a long time. This is probably my 25th year, and I got to tell you, that's a precarious thing. It's trying not to burn bridges, knowing that bridge is going to be the one you have to cross a year from now. So you've got to be very careful, and I have a tendency to want to befriend council members wherever I'm working, and it's not a selfish issue. It's an issue of just trying to understand that people need to work in one direction, and a city manager needs to follow the direction of the people who are elected. City managers aren't elected. They're there to make recommendation, and once that recommendation isn't taken, or it is taken, we follow council direction. That's what managers are, and so that we don't get out in front of our elected officials.
do you want the full-time gig?
I'm doing it now.
Well, he's doing 5 jobs now.
Yeah, we don't have department heads for water, wastewater, DPW,
Neil.
and neighborhood and economic operations. Engineering is now folded under neighborhood and economic operations. So
Well, are
the
they-
city saves a lot of money this way.
Are they taking advantage of you?
No, I love the work.
Do
I
you?
love the work. Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
I think that's an interesting question that you just asked.
Well,
I love the work.
if he's doing 5 jobs,
He is. I calculated the savings.
he would be saving the city quite a great deal of
Well, just
money.
through the middle of September, I had calculated it to be about $290,000.
Well,
that
hire
he's
the
already
guy then.
saved the
Come on.
city
Well, better
from all the multiple.
better than that. Think about think about what this tells the city council, that you can have 5 departments or 4 or 5 departments that run without somebody sitting looking over people, and you've got that good a staff in those departments that can follow through without department head direction on a daily basis. Doesn't mean you don't have some kind of policy objective
Sure.
direction from somebody, which I do. But I got to tell you, I mean, there's a lot of qualified staff, both in the DPW and at City Hall. It's actually incredible. I can't say enough about. You go up and down City Hall in different departments, you find a lot of qualified people that know their jobs. They
Well,
really
is
don't
it-
need somebody with their thumb on their neck.
Was the city misstructured? Yeah.
No, I think those kind of transitions take time, and I think over we're right sizing the city. I mean, I think
Well, the
council
economy
understand-
makes you take a step back and say, is it structured correctly?
Yeah, you have to look at.
And-
Yeah, you're right.
And this council, quite frankly, we started in the up at the bottom, and we're in an uptick. So it's the last council that's had to deal with all the downsizing.
So we were top heavy. Is that fair to say?
Well,
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I guess the
maybe we were comfortable.
that's
You
probably
know.
good. That's probably a good analogy. I think that being comfortable where you are, and when you're comfortable, you're more resistant to change.
Sure.
And I think that it just takes getting used to that Jackson doesn't have 50,000 people anymore. It has 33,500 roughly, and your staff has to be right sized to take care of that. And
you
that's
have to-
really what's happened.
Well, and you have to put policies in place and actually abide by them. In other words, you do your inspections, you bill for the inspections, and you collect. Otherwise, we can't afford to do what we need to do for the city.
And it's about consistency as well, and having a structure that leads to consistent decision making, regardless of what department you're in, makes a lot of sense to citizens.
Are you a workaholic?
Do you want my answer?
I don't
to
know what that means.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
No,
Okay.
I don't know what that means. But
All right.
I like to work.
Don't
You
you,
enjoy it?
start at
I
7
enjoy
in the
it.
morning
Yes, I
and
do.
end at 10 at night? That'd be kind of a workaholic.
It's like me.
Either that or you're bored and you
like
don't
all
have
you
anything else to do.
Hey, we're out of time, Laura.
Okay.
You got
and
anything going on?
I've got some new listings starting next week, so
Okay. I'll
listen
talk about
in.
'em.
Jackie will be here Thursday with a guest
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm going to be at some meetings in Mackinac Island.
Oh. We'll see you, Jackie, Thursday.
I guess.
She didn't know until today.